I saw my daughter talking to the neighbor at the gate. She insists on showing up, poor thing. But she never was part of the family. I just smiled quietly and left. I had brought the deed to the new house that was going to be hers. Subscribe to the channel for more stories like this, and comment the city you're watching from. That moment replays in my mind like a broken record. The casual cruelty in Nora's voice. The neighbor's uncomfortable nod. The way my heart seemed to stop for a moment before resuming its beat with a dull ache I'd become all too familiar with over the years. I'm Beverly Wilson, 68 years old, and I just discovered what my daughter really thinks of me. I had driven across town that morning with the deed to a small but charming house I'd purchased for Nora. After years of saving, working well past retirement age at the library, pinching pennies while she and her husband Eric lived lavishly, I had finally managed to buy her the home she'd always wanted in the historic district. The one she'd pointed out during our rare drives together. "Mom, can you imagine living there?" "I'd finally feel like I'd made it," she'd said. I wanted to give her that feeling. Maybe then she'd look at me the way she used to when she was little, before the distance grew between us like an invisible wall. But as I approached her current home, I heard her voice drift over the fence. I slowed my steps, the manila envelope containing the deed clutched tightly in my weathered hands. She insists on showing up, poor thing. But she never was part of the family. My body went cold. I knew exactly who she was. "Isn't that a bit harsh?" Sarah, the neighbor, replied. "She is your mother." Nora's laugh was sharp like breaking glass. "Biologically, sure. But Mom? A real mother doesn't." "Well, it doesn't matter. She's just so needy. Always trying to buy my love with gifts and favors. It's pathetic." I didn't wait to hear more. 68 years on this earth had taught me when I wasn't wanted. I turned around quietly, my sensible shoes making no sound on the pavement, and walked back to my car. The deed felt heavy in my hands. 30 years of extra shifts at the library, skipped vacations, the small inheritance from my sister that I'd saved instead of using for the knee surgery I needed. All to buy my daughter's love, apparently. Pathetic, she called me. Perhaps she was right. I drove home in silence, no radio, no tears. Just the hollow feeling that had been my companion for longer than I cared to admit. My small house welcomed me, tidy and quiet. Photos of Nora lined the walls, her graduation, her wedding, moments I'd treasured while she'd merely tolerated my presence. The phone rang as I set the envelope on the kitchen table. "Mom." Nora's voice, sweet now. Calculated. "I thought you were coming over today. Did you forget again?" I almost laughed. The irony of her implying memory problems when I remembered every school play she'd been in, every birthday, every moment of her life with perfect clarity. "No, dear. Something came up." My voice didn't betray me. Years of practice. "Well, Eric and I were hoping you'd watch Tyler this weekend. We've been invited to a business retreat. Very important for Eric's promotion. Tyler, my 7-year-old grandson. The one bright spot in my relationship with Nora. The only time she called was when she needed something. Usually money or childcare." "Of course," I said automatically. "I'd love to see Tyler." "Great. We'll drop him off Friday." "Oh, and Mom? We've been thinking. Have you considered moving into Peaceful Pines? Mrs. Johnson's mother just moved there and loves it." My hand tightened around the phone. Peaceful Pines was the cheapest assisted living facility in town, known for its understaffed care and tiny rooms. Nothing peaceful about it. "I'm perfectly fine in my home, Nora. I'm just concerned, Mom. Living alone at your age isn't safe. Plus, your house is getting too big for you to manage." My 1,200 square foot bungalow was hardly a mansion, but its value had tripled since I bought it decades ago. If I sold it and moved to Peaceful Pines, there would be a substantial amount left over. Money that would go to Nora after I died, or sooner if she had her way. "I'm not moving, Nora." A sigh of frustration. "You're being stubborn. We should talk about this when we drop off Tyler." After we hung up, I sat at my kitchen table for a long time, staring at the envelope containing the deed. The house I'd bought for a daughter who saw me as nothing more than a burden. An ATM. A convenient babysitter. For the first time in decades, I wondered what my life might have been if I'd put myself first even once. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing Nora's words. She never was part of the family. After all these years of trying, of sacrificing, of making myself smaller to make room for her dreams, I was still an outsider. A charity case in my own family. I got up and made tea, my mind suddenly clearer than it had been in years. The deed to Nora's dream house still sat on my table, unsigned, undelivered. Perhaps it was time to rewrite my own story. The photograph sits on my bedside table. Nora at 5 years old, her smile missing 2 front teeth, her arms wrapped tightly around my neck. It was taken 6 months after Robert died. After the drunk driver took my husband and left me a 35-year-old widow with a kindergartner and a mortgage I couldn't afford. I pick it up now, running my finger over the glass. That little girl loved me once, before she learned to see me as the tired woman who never had enough energy, enough money, enough patience. Sleep eludes me tonight. Nora's words keep echoing in my mind. She never was part of the family. How did we get here? When did I become an outsider to my own daughter? After Robert died, I had 2 choices. Move back to my parents' farm in Nebraska or somehow make it on my own. My parents offered, of course. Come home, Beverly, Mom had pleaded. You can't raise that child alone in the city. But I stayed. Robert and I had built a life here, and Nora needed stability, not more change. So I took on a second job shelving books at the library after my day shifts at the insurance office. I learned to sew so I could mend Nora's clothes instead of buying new ones. I cut my own hair, skipped meals, sold my wedding ring. Every sacrifice was for her. When Nora wanted ballet lessons like her friends, I cleaned the dance studio on weekends to pay for them. When she needed braces, I postponed fixing the leaking roof. When she got into that expensive private college, I remortgaged the house. I didn't resent these choices. They were made out of love. But somewhere along the way, Nora started seeing my sacrifices as shortcomings. Why can't we go to Florida for spring break like Emma's family? She'd ask. Why don't you ever buy new clothes? Mrs. Parker always looks so put together. Each question a tiny cut. The worst came when she was 16. I'd saved for months to buy her a used car, nothing fancy but reliable. When I showed her the faded blue Honda, her face fell. This is it? Brittany's parents got her a brand new Jeep. Brittany's parents are still married and both make 6 figures, I'd replied, the rare moment of frustration slipping out. She didn't speak to me for a week. I pushed myself out of bed and pad to the kitchen. The deed to the house still sits on the table, my grand gesture, my final attempt to win my daughter's approval. How many extra shifts did I work for this? How many nights did I lie awake worrying about money while Nora slept peacefully, unaware of the precarity of our situation? My phone buzzes with a text. It's 3 a.m. Mom, Tyler has a science project due Monday. Can you help him with it this weekend? Nothing complicated, just a solar system model. Thanks. No, please. No acknowledgement that she's asking for yet another favor at an inappropriate hour. Just the assumption that I'll say yes, as I always have. I don't respond. Instead, I open my laptop and type Peaceful Pines Assisted Living into the search bar. Nora's suggestion that I move there keeps replaying in my mind. The facility's website appears, showing smiling seniors in a garden. But when I click to read reviews, my stomach tightens. Staff shortages led to my mother sitting in soiled clothes for hours. Medication errors are common. Food is barely edible. This is where my daughter wants to put me. Not because I need care, but to get her hands on my house. I close the laptop, a cold realization settling over me. This isn't just about Nora being ungrateful or selfish. She's actively planning for my decline, perhaps even hoping for it. Morning comes with unusual clarity. I make coffee and sit on my porch swing, watching the neighborhood wake up. Mrs. Delgado walks her terrier past my house and waves. Unlike my daughter, she visits regularly, bringing tamales and conversation, expecting nothing in return. Beverly, come to dinner tonight, she calls out. Manuel is making his famous paella. I almost decline automatically. Friday nights, I usually prepare for Tyler's visits by baking cookies and planning activities. But something stops me. I'd love to, I call back. Mrs. Delgado looks surprised but pleased. 6 o'clock. Back inside, I call my doctor and schedule a complete physical and cognitive assessment. If Nora is laying groundwork to question my competence, I need documentation of my good health. Then I call a locksmith to change my house keys. Finally, I call Nora. I can't watch Tyler this weekend, I say when she answers. What? Mom, we already made plans. The retreat is important for Eric's career. I'm sure it is. But I have plans too. What plans? She sounds genuinely confused, as if she can't imagine me having a life that doesn't revolve around her needs. Dinner with friends. A doctor's appointment. Personal things. Can't you reschedule? This is important. So are my plans. A long pause. Mom, are you feeling okay? You're acting strange. I'm feeling fine. Better than I have in years, actually. After we hang up, I half expect her to show up at my door, demanding explanations. But she doesn't. Instead, she texts, "Fine. Had to cancel our trip. Thanks a lot." Tyler is devastated. The guilt trip might have worked before. Today, it just confirms what I've begun to suspect. I've enabled this behavior for decades. I spend the afternoon doing something I haven't done in years, painting. My easel has gathered dust in the spare room since Nora moved out. "Mom, you're not really good enough to keep wasting money on art supplies," she'd said when she saw me painting once. I'd put the brushes away, believing her. But today I paint. Not well perhaps, but with joy. By the time I leave for dinner at the Delgados, I've completed a simple landscape that makes me smile every time I look at it. For the first time in longer than I can remember, I go to sleep without checking my phone for messages from Nora. Tomorrow will bring its own challenges, but tonight I sleep peacefully. The first small step toward reclaiming my life has been taken. The next morning brings a flurry of texts from Nora, each one more agitated than the last. "Mom, I need to talk to you. Why aren't you answering your phone? This isn't like you. I'm getting worried. Should I call someone to check on you?" That last one makes me pause. Is she genuinely concerned? Or is this the beginning of something more insidious? I've read enough stories about elderly parents being declared incompetent by children eager to control their assets. I text back, "I'm fine. Having breakfast with the Delgados." It's not entirely true. I'm actually just having coffee on my porch watching cardinals flit around my bird feeder. But the lie feels necessary, like armor. Her response is immediate. "Since when do you have breakfast with neighbors?" I don't reply. Instead, I call my bank and make an appointment with a financial advisor for next week. Then I call my old friend Judith, an attorney I've known since Nora was in elementary school. We haven't spoken in years, another casualty of my shrinking world as I focus solely on Nora and her needs. "Beverly Wilson, I was just thinking about you." Judith's warm voice fills me with nostalgia for the days when I had friends, a social life, interests beyond my daughter's life. "I need some legal advice," I tell her, "about protecting my assets." There's a pause. "From Nora?" Of course she knows. Judith has always seen through my excuses for Nora's behavior. Her absence at my hospital bedside after my surgery. Her forgetting my birthdays. "Yes," I admit. "From Nora. We arranged to meet for lunch next week." As I hang up, my doorbell rings. Through the peephole, I see Nora standing on my porch, arms crossed, foot tapping impatiently. I consider not answering, but that would only escalate things. I open the door. "This is a surprise." "Is it?" She pushes past me into the house. "You haven't been answering my calls. You canceled on Tyler last minute. And now you're having breakfast with neighbors? What's going on with you?" I close the door and follow her into my living room, where she's already pacing. "Nothing's going on with me, Nora. I'm just living my life." She stops, staring at the painting I propped against the wall. "You're painting again? Mom, you know you can't afford to waste money on hobbies." The familiar criticism stings, but less than it once would have. I can afford what I choose to afford. She turns to face me, eyes narrowing. "Are you taking your medication? You seem different." And there it is. I've made one small change, setting a boundary, and immediately she's questioning my mental competence. "I'm not on any medication, Nora. You know that." "Maybe you should be," she mutters, then louder. "Look, I came because Eric and I are concerned. We've been thinking more about Peaceful Pines. They have an opening next month." I sit on my sofa, keeping my voice even. I'm not moving to Peaceful Pines or any other facility. I'm healthy, independent, and happy in my home. "But for how long? You're almost 70, Mom. Things can change quickly at your age." When they do, I'll address them. But for now, this discussion is closed. Her face flushes with frustration. You're being unreasonable. Eric and I are trying to help you. Are you? I ask quietly. Or are you trying to help yourselves? Nora flinches as if I've slapped her. What's that supposed to mean? It means I know about your financial problems, Nora. Her face pales. I don't know what you're talking about. But she does. Last month, while babysitting Tyler, I'd overheard her arguing with Eric on the phone about credit card debt, missed mortgage payments, and something about a failed investment. I hadn't meant to eavesdrop, but their financial troubles explained a lot. The increased pressure about my house, the sudden concern about my living arrangements. If you need money, you can just ask. You don't need to ship me off to a cut-rate nursing home to get your hands on my house. That's not. She begins, then stops, changing tactics. Mom, we're worried about you living alone. This isn't about money. Then why Peaceful Pines? Why not Riverside Gardens or Willow Glen? Both have excellent reputations and are closer to your home. They're so expensive, she says automatically, then realizes her mistake. I mean, unnecessarily fancy. Peaceful Pines is perfectly adequate. For someone else, perhaps. Not for me. Nora's phone rings. She checks it, then says, It's Eric. I need to take this. She steps into the kitchen, her voice dropping to a whisper. I shouldn't eavesdrop, but I find myself straining to hear. No, she's being difficult. I don't know, she seems different. Yes, I mentioned Peaceful Pines again. Well, what am I supposed to do? We need that money, Eric. The bank won't extend the loan again. I know what the doctor said about her memory, but she seems fine today. My heart stops. What doctor? I haven't authorized anyone to discuss my medical information with Nora. She returns, composing her face into a mask of concern. Mom, we just want what's best for you. I'm sure you do, I reply, my mind racing. But I'm tired now. I think you should go. But we haven't resolved anything. There's nothing to resolve. I'm not moving, and my finances are not up for discussion. After she leaves, I sit in stunned silence. The conversation with Eric confirmed my suspicions. They're desperate for money, and they see me, or rather, my assets, as the solution. More disturbing is the reference to a doctor's assessment of my memory. Has Nora been speaking to my doctor behind my back? Or worse, has she been laying groundwork, telling people I'm experiencing cognitive decline? The manila envelope with the house deed still sits on my kitchen table. I pick it up, then deliberately tear it in half. Nora will never know how close she came to receiving this gift, or how her own words stopped me from giving it to her. For the first time, I see my daughter clearly, without the rose-colored glasses of maternal love, and what I see chills me to the bone. Judith's office hasn't changed in the 15 years since I last visited. The same leather chairs, the same framed law degree, the same photo of her receiving an award from the State Bar Association. But Judith herself has aged beautifully. Silver hair in a stylish bob, laugh lines around eyes that have seen everything and judged nothing. You look good, Beverly, she says, settling behind her desk. There's something different about you. I've stopped accepting scraps, I reply, surprising myself with the candor. She smiles. About time. I tell her everything: Nora's conversation with the neighbor, her attempts to push me into Peaceful Pines, the mysterious doctor who supposedly assessed my memory, and their financial troubles. Judith listens without interrupting, taking occasional notes. This is unfortunately common, she says when I finish. I've seen it too many times. Adult children viewing their parents as walking ATMs or inconvenient obstacles to inheritance. What can I do? First, we document your mental competence. I'll arrange for an independent evaluation with a geriatric specialist who can testify to your capacity if needed. You think it will come to that? Judith's expression softens. I hope not. But based on what you've told me, Nora may be building a case to control your finances through guardianship. We need to be prepared. The thought makes me sick. My own daughter, plotting to have me declared incompetent. Next, Judith continues, we update your will and establish a revocable trust. Your current will leaves everything to Nora, correct? I nod, ashamed now of my blind devotion. And the house you purchase for her? What do you want to do with that? I've thought about this for days. I'm keeping it. I might sell it eventually, but for now it's mine. Good. She makes another note. Now, I want to discuss power of attorney, both financial and medical. Currently, who holds those? Nora is my medical proxy. I never established financial power of attorney. We'll change the medical proxy and establish a financial POA with someone you trust implicitly. Not Nora. But who? I've isolated myself so thoroughly that my world has shrunk to Nora, Tyler, and a handful of acquaintances. What about you? I ask suddenly. Judith looks surprised, then touched. I'd be honored, Beverly. But let's also consider naming a backup. Perhaps one of your neighbors? The Delgados sound lovely. By the time I leave Judith's office, I have a plan. Not just legal protections, but a roadmap for reclaiming my life. Step 1. Establish my independence from Nora. Step 2. Reconnect with old interests and make new friends. Step 3. Live the years I have left on my own terms. That afternoon, I visit the community center and sign up for art classes. The young woman at the desk lights up when I mention I used to paint. We need more experienced artists. Our instructor, Miguel, is wonderful, but he always says the class needs diverse perspectives. I haven't considered myself an experienced artist in decades. Not since Robert died and all my creative energy went into survival. The thought of being valued for something other than my caregiving or financial support is intoxicating. Next, I visit the bank. The financial advisor, Ms. Chun, reviews my accounts with professional detachment. You're in excellent financial shape, Mrs. Wilson. Your pension, Social Security, and investments provide a comfortable income. The equity in your primary home, plus the second property you purchased recently, puts your net worth well above average for your demographic. My daughter thinks I can't afford art supplies, I say with a bitter laugh. Ms. Chun raises an eyebrow. You can afford quite a bit more than art supplies. We restructure my accounts, removing Nora as a beneficiary on my smaller accounts and establishing new security protocols. No one, especially Nora, will access my finances without my explicit permission. I walk out of the bank feeling lighter, more secure. For the first time in years, I treat myself to lunch at a nice restaurant instead of the budget cafe I usually frequent. The small rebellion feels enormous. My phone buzzes repeatedly during lunch, all calls from Nora. I silence it and enjoy my meal. When I finally listen to her voicemails at home, her escalating tone confirms I've made the right decisions. Mom, call me back. Tyler wants to know if you're coming to his soccer game. Mom, seriously, why aren't you answering? Are you mad about something? This is getting ridiculous. I'm coming over there if you don't call me in the next hour. I just spoke to Dr. Phillips. He's concerned about these behavior changes. We need to discuss this now. Dr. Phillips, my primary physician. So Nora has been speaking to my doctor. I make a note to address this violation at my next appointment, then text Nora. I'm fine. Busy with appointments today. We'll call tomorrow. Her response is immediate. What appointments? Are you sick? I don't reply. Instead, I call Tyler on the special phone I gave him for emergencies. Grandma. His voice is sunshine after a storm. Are you coming to my game on Saturday? I wouldn't miss it, sweetheart. 4 o'clock, right? Uh-huh. Mom said you might not come because you're mad at her. Of course she'd put that on me. I'm not mad at anyone, Tyler. I'll be there with bells on. Don't really wear bells, Grandma. That's weird. I laugh a real laugh, something rare these days. No bells, promise. See you Saturday. That night I dream of painting again. Great sweeping landscapes in vibrant colors. Nothing like the careful, controlled watercolors I used to make. In the dream, Nora stands at my shoulder trying to take away my brushes, but I hold firm. I wake feeling more resolved than ever. Today, I'll visit the house I bought for Nora, my house now, and make plans for its future. It won't be a gift to an ungrateful daughter. Instead, it will be the foundation of my new life. As I dress, I realize I'm humming an old Beatles song Robert used to sing while making breakfast on Sundays. Here comes the sun. How appropriate. The doorbell rings as I'm finishing my coffee. Through the peephole I see Nora, Eric, and a man I don't recognize carrying a medical bag. Mom, open up. We brought Dr. Williams to check on you since you won't answer your phone. My hand shakes slightly as I dial Judith's number. She answers on the second ring. They're here, I say quietly. Nora, Eric, and some doctor I've never met. Don't open the door, she instructs. I'm on my way. If they don't leave, call the police. The police? Isn't that extreme? Trust me, Beverly. This is exactly why we put those legal protections in place yesterday. They're moving faster than I expected. As I hang up, Nora pounds on the door again. Mom, we know you're in there. We're worried about you. My heart races, but my resolve doesn't waver. I won't open that door. I won't let them bulldoze me anymore. Through the window, I watch as a car pulls into my driveway. Judith steps out, briefcase in hand, expression determined. The battle for my independence has begun. Mrs. Wilson, I presume? Judith's voice cuts through the morning air as she approaches my front porch. She doesn't look at Nora, Eric, or the unknown doctor. Instead, she focuses entirely on me through the window, giving a reassuring nod. Who are you? Nora demands, turning to face Judith. Judith Blackwell, attorney at law. She extends a business card. I represent Beverly Wilson. Nora snatches the card, face flushing. My mother doesn't have an attorney. I've represented your mother for over 30 years, Miss Carter. We recently updated her legal documents. Judith's tone is pleasant but unyielding. Now, why are you here with a medical professional who is not Mrs. Wilson's physician of record? The man with the medical bag shifts uncomfortably. I was told Mrs. Wilson needed an urgent wellness check due to concerning behavior changes. By whom? Judith asks. Her daughter explained that Mrs. Wilson has been showing signs of cognitive decline, confusion, paranoia, irrational decisions. He glances at Nora, who nods vigorously. She won't answer her phone, Nora adds. She's canceling plans, acting secretive. Dr. Phillips is concerned too. Judith raises an eyebrow. Dr. Phillips? Mrs. Wilson's physician. Yes, Nora says triumphantly. He agreed with me that something's wrong. Interesting, Judith murmurs, then turns to the doctor. Dr. Williams. Mark Williams. Dr. Williams, did you speak with Dr. Phillips directly? He hesitates. No, I was relying on the family's report. I see. And are you aware that forcing a medical examination on an unwilling, competent adult could constitute assault? Judith's voice remains conversational, but her meaning is clear. Dr. Williams pales. I was told this was a wellness check with Mrs. Wilson's consent. I choose this moment to open the door slightly, standing behind the security chain. I did not consent to any examination, doctor. I've never met you before. Nora steps forward. Mom, you're not thinking clearly. We're worried about you. Mrs. Carter, Judith interjects smoothly. Your mother completed a comprehensive cognitive assessment yesterday with Dr. Eleanor James, a renowned geriatric specialist. She passed with flying colors. I have the report if you'd like to see it. Nora's mouth opens, then closes. Eric places a steadying hand on her shoulder. Furthermore, Judith continues, Mrs. Wilson has revoked your authority as her medical proxy and named new agents for both medical and financial decisions. If you continue this attempt to force unwanted medical care on her, we will pursue legal remedies. Clear enough. Dr. Williams is already backing toward his car. I should go. This appears to be a family matter. This isn't over. Nora hisses as he leaves. Mom, what have you done? Who filled your head with these ideas? The only person filling anyone's head with ideas is you, Nora, I say quietly. Telling doctors I'm confused and paranoid? Trying to force your way into my house with a stranger? We're trying to help you. No, you're trying to help yourselves to my money. Eric steps forward, his sales director smile firmly in place. Beverly, you're making serious accusations here. We only want what's best for the family. Which family, Eric? The one that includes me, or just you and Nora? His smile falters. I think you should both leave, Judith says. Mrs. Wilson will contact you when she's ready. Mom. Nora's voice shifts, tears suddenly appearing in her eyes. Please don't do this. We love you. Tyler needs his grandmother. The mention of Tyler twists my heart, but I hold firm. I'll see Tyler at his soccer game on Saturday. As always. You can't just shut us out. We're your family. A family that plots behind my back? A family that tries to have me declared incompetent? A family where my own daughter tells neighbors I never was part of the family? Nora freezes. What? I heard you, Nora. Last week talking to Sarah. You didn't know I was there. The color drains from her face. For once she has no ready excuse, no manipulation. Leave now, I say, or I'll call the police. After they drive away, Judith sits with me at my kitchen table. My hands shake as I make tea. You did well, she says. The first confrontation is always the hardest. They'll try again. Probably. But we're prepared now. Over the next 2 weeks, Nora launches a full campaign. She calls relatives I haven't spoken to in years, telling them I'm mentally declining and refusing help. She contacts my old friends, my church, even my book club. The story is always the same: poor Nora, dealing with her stubborn, possibly senile mother who suddenly cut her off for no reason. Some believe her. My cousin Elaine calls, gently suggesting I listen to Nora's concerns. My former coworker sends a pamphlet about dementia, but others are skeptical. Nora called me with some wild story about you losing your marbles, my old friend Patricia says when she calls. I told her I'd believe that when pigs fly. You've always had more sense than the rest of us combined. The most difficult part is Tyler. Nora allows me to attend his soccer game, but she hovers nearby, watching every interaction. When Tyler runs to hug me after scoring a goal, she quickly intervenes. Careful with Grandma, honey. She's fragile. Tyler looks at me with confusion. At 7, he's old enough to sense tension but too young to understand its source. I'm not fragile, I assure him, hugging him tightly. I'm strong as an ox. What's an ox? He asks. Like a really big, strong cow. He giggles. You're not a cow, Grandma. These moments with Tyler sustain me through the storm of Nora's campaign. I continue my art classes, make new friends at the community center, and visit the house I'd bought for Nora, my house now. It needs work, but I can envision its potential. One morning, I arrive at my doctor's office for my regular checkup, only to find Dr. Phillips unusually formal. Mrs. Wilson, he says stiffly, your daughter has expressed concerns about your mental state. I'm sure she has, I reply. Did she also mention that she's trying to gain control of my assets? He blinks, caught off guard. She mentioned financial concerns, yes. She's worried you're making poor decisions. Such as? Well. He consults his notes. Apparently you've purchased a second home you can't afford, cut off contact with family, and refused necessary care. I laugh, startling him. I paid cash for that house from my savings. I speak with my grandson regularly. And the necessary care was a forced examination by a doctor I've never met. Dr. Phillips frowns. I see. Do you? Because I'm concerned about how freely you've been discussing my health with my daughter without my consent. His face reddens. Mrs. Wilson, when family members express concerns. That doesn't override HIPAA, I interrupt. I never authorized you to share my medical information with Nora. The examination proceeds in uncomfortable silence. At the end, Dr. Phillips hands me a referral. What's this? Your daughter requested a cognitive assessment. I tear it in half and drop it in the trash. I've already had one with a specialist. The results are in my file. And Dr. Phillips? I'll be finding a new physician. As I leave the office, my phone rings. Judith. Nora's filed for guardianship, she says without preamble. She's claiming you're mentally incompetent and unable to care for yourself. Despite everything, I feel as if I've been punched in the stomach. My own daughter is trying to legally strip me of my autonomy. What do? We fight, Judith says firmly. And Beverly? We win. The day of the guardianship hearing dawns clear and bright, a mockery of the darkness I feel as I dress in my most professional outfit, a navy suit I haven't worn since retiring from the library 5 years ago. It still fits, though the shoulders hang a bit looser on my frame. Remember, Judith says as we drive to the courthouse, you just need to be yourself, calm, coherent, in control. Judge Martinez has seen these cases before. She knows what financial exploitation looks like. I nod, unable to speak past the knot in my throat. No matter how this ends, something precious has been lost forever. The daughter I raised, the one I sacrificed everything for, is actively trying to strip me of my rights, my dignity, my independence. all for money. The courtroom is smaller than I expected, intimate almost, with just 2 tables facing the judge's bench. Nora and Eric sit at one with their attorney, a slick-looking man in an expensive suit. Nora has dressed for the role of concerned daughter. Conservative dress, minimal makeup, hair pulled back. She doesn't look at me as we enter. All rise. The bailiff announces as Judge Martinez enters, a stern-faced woman in her 60s with silver-streaked hair and piercing eyes. Nora's attorney presents their case first, painting a picture of a confused elderly woman making irrational financial decisions, cutting off loving family members, and refusing necessary care. Mrs. Carter only wants to protect her mother, he concludes smoothly. She's watched with growing alarm as Mrs. Wilson's behavior has become increasingly erratic. This guardianship isn't about control. It's about ensuring Mrs. Wilson's safety and well-being in her golden years. When it's our turn, Judith is methodical, presenting the cognitive assessment from Dr. James, statements from my new friends at the art class, and financial records showing my excellent money management. Are you? Her tone is challenging but lacks its usual edge. Yes. Divorce is painful, no matter the circumstances. She nods, looking away. I found out he was having an affair with his assistant. Classic, right? I say nothing, waiting. I also found out he's been gambling. That's where most of our money went. She laughs humorlessly. Turns out I'm not great at judging character. What will you do now? She shrugs. Start over, I guess. Tyler and I are staying with a friend until I figure things out. I nod, my hands still covered in garden soil. Part of me wants to invite her in, offer comfort, fall back into old patterns. But the wiser part knows better. I should go, she says finally. I just wanted to see the house. And to say I'm sorry. For everything. It's not much of an apology, but it's more than I expected. Thank you for that. She turns to leave, then stops. Do you think? Could Tyler visit sometime? He misses you. I'd like that very much. After she drives away, I return to my gardening, planting bulbs that won't bloom for months. Some will be eaten by squirrels. Others might rot in the ground. But some will push through the earth when winter ends, adding beauty to a world that sorely needs it. I don't know if Nora and I will ever truly reconcile. Trust, once broken, is like a shattered mirror. It can be pieced together, but the cracks remain visible. Yet as I press another bulb into the dark soil, I feel something I haven't felt in a long time. Hope. Not for the relationship I once imagined, but for something new. Something real. Something built on truth rather than obligation. And for now, that's enough.